At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome to another episode of the Jake Nulph Show, live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, just past Lake Route 99. A team as good as advertised, maybe better, and ironically, maybe your best first quarter of the season. I mean, you did a lot of good things. Obviously, Coach DeMayo came out with a lot of different looks. There was a lot of positive to take from the opening couple of possessions.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We had talked about the start all week, Joe, and, welcome back, Fighting Scot Nation. Thanks for tuning in. With the team like Slippery Rock and as dynamic as their offense is, Joe, and just to peel back some of the conversations we have as coaches were, we wanted to keep their offense off the field. So we had talked about a game plan. Let's run the play clock down inside 5 seconds, really utilize as much time, get in rhythm. And I thought from the start, our offense, we take the opening kickoff, 29 yards, a good return by Brian. We go 7 plays, 67 yards for a touchdown. And it was just, we stayed in rhythm and we stayed on schedule. Brian had a run of 7. Then we got Tegan involved on the second play for 5 yards. Then Armani had a 15-yard catch. Thad had a 27-yarder. And then I look at, we got the ball down after the 27-yard. Slippery Rock tightened up a little bit. We had a 3rd and 12 from the 15. And some of those plays that you mentioned that Coach DeMayo dialed up, we snuck Brian out the back door into the flat away from their linebackers and hit a 15-yard touchdown. And that was the thing. The start was there, the time of possession. And then I look, honestly, Joe, we had Slippery Rock. They had a 7-yard run on first down. Toby Klein made a tremendous play for no gain. We got them into a 3rd and 3, and we just had a miscommunication on the back end. They motioned the running back out of the backfield. We needed to spin the safeties down and push everybody over. We missed that. And the thing that makes Slippery Rock so dynamic on offense is they can get into some tempo, and they can give you some different looks out of that tempo. And they started getting into warp speed, gashing us a little bit. They tied it at 7, but we come right back offensively. We had the ball for over 10 minutes in the first quarter, which was exactly what we wanted to do. I look at Armani had a 10-yard reception. Isaac had a big 12-yard run, which you think Isaac Bernard.
Yeah, that's
right?
not exactly Ike's MO, but
no.
he had a couple of good runs.
Yeah, really nice decisions made there. Brian for 12, Armani again for 6. We had Hop open for he had an 8-yard gain there. Then we had Brian 4 or 6. We were just staying on schedule. We sputtered out a little bit, but it gave it, Lambeau an opportunity to hit a field goal. We go up 10-7. Slippery Rock comes right down. They respond. They answer. They take the lead 14-10. But then again, I look back at what offensively we were able to do in the second quarter. We started right away. Thad had a rush for 12. We got Jake LaRue involved for 6. Thad another chunk play for 13. And then honestly, one of the better plays we had offensively the afternoon, and I know Armani's here and he's going to talk to you about it. He's our guest tonight. But he had a 30-yard reception where, I don't know, it might have been an 8-yard catch and a 22-yard yak where he just wills his way to a 30-yard gain on 3rd and 7. It was a tremendous play. Then I look at, we went a shot play on 1st and 10 to try to get some momentum. It was 2nd and 10. Keon has a run for 8. And then this is where a little bit of the momentum swing. We had a 3rd and 2 where we didn't gain any yards. And then we had a 4th and 2 where they stopped us, and that was their front just making more plays than we did. Hindsight, Joe's always 20/20. I had a conversation with our football team on Friday, and I said, if we get in 4th and 4 and in, or 4th and 3, I don't care where it was at on the field. We were going for it. And I told our guys, you have my back, let's go, and let's, we're in this thing to win it. And, again, 3rd and 2, 4th and 2, we just didn't capitalize on those plays, But the defense, made a stop, give us an opportunity in a one-possession game to get the ball back. Slippery Rock went into their bag of tricks and executed a well-designed fake punt against us. But Evan Lowe made a tremendous play where he gets downfield, puts a real – and you think Evan Lowe, a wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
But he gets himself involved on special teams because of his physicality, forces a fumble, Tristan Waldair recovers, and then this is where the momentum swing flipped, right? And on 1st and 10, we fumbled it right back to them. And this is unfortunately where the game swung from a one possession. This was a 14-point swing where we fumble it away, and then they hit the big play, make it 21-10. But this is what I love about our group. And look, we're all sitting here, and you can talk to Armani about this when he comes up. It's 21-10. We could legitimately go, okay. No, but we answer. And we had a 51-yard kickoff return to respond. With that, a tremendous job. We get a pass interference call. We get the ball down inside. And then, unfortunately, we get a hands-to-the-face penalty, which puts us back in second and forever. But I look at this sequence, and where we're growing as a football team is, we got a 3rd and a mile. And we actually, Isaac plays quarterback, hits Armani for a 20-yard completion. Gives us an opportunity.
There was a chance.
Yeah, gives us an opportunity on a 4th and 6. Again, when you look at these things, 4th and 6, let's kick the field goal. Lambeau had made one earlier. And that way it's 21-13. You're at one possession game, a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And we just don't execute the kick, right?
And then things happened even more quickly at the end of the half.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
And they get the ball to start the second half, and then you're chasing.
Well, now you're chasing the game. But that sequence in the first half, we had all the momentum. It wasn't as if we were out of it. They were completely dominant. I felt offensively, and I'd be curious to hear Armani's thoughts when you get him up here, is we were in rhythm. We were making plays. We just didn't make those timely plays on whatever it may be to capitalize on those situations. But, again, so Slippery Rock gets it all the way down. They had a 4th and 6 from our 9-yard line. And Sheets is a big target in the red zone.
And they go 3-1.
Yeah.
I mean, what there's really difficult to double when.
Well, that's the thing where he made a play, and again, you tip.
It's a great throw too.
Yeah, good throw, good catch. You tip their hat, but at that point, then you're starting out at 28-10 to start the second half. But again, I look at responses and timely plays in the game. We come out opening kickoff, second half. We literally have 4 guys, Joe, make a tackle inside the 15-yard line. So our kickoff unit running down, both Ennis brothers, Amari Jones, Ty Reale, 2 freshmen that have been doing a lot of really good things on special teams, run down. We tackle them inside the 15. And they just, again, chunk play. Again, that offense in rhythm, just hats off to them. They're number 5 in the country.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Cooper, those guys have like 130 combined starts. Yeah, there's a lot of experience on that offensive line. And it looked like it.
And, again, it's a big physical group up front. They impose their will. We just couldn't make the timely play defensively to get a negative play to get them off a schedule. And, but again, I look offensively, we responded. We got into some rhythm. I felt the one punt that we did have in the game, we hit it 45 yards, pin them on the 1.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the other thing I wanted to ask you about this, the best, you're a special teams guy. What was different? You mentioned the 151-yard return. It felt like you were getting 20, 25, 28 yards on every kickoff return. Did something change this week? That was, I think, the best return game we've had all year.
It was, and honestly, it was just an execution thing. And if you bring our guys up, they'll tell you. I mean, we do a really good job. Clearly, we spend a lot of times on special teams, and you're right to answer your question. I thought that our guys executed the game plan from a kickoff return standpoint, and we give our offense opportunities to really, get in rhythm. And it's easier starting your drives outside the 35-yard line.
Give me 38-yard line versus the 20 all
consistently,
day long, right?
And that's the thing where. And when you talk to the guys, when I talked to them today on Monday, and when I talked to the staff, and, look, whether we played extremely well at points in that game, but we didn't play consistently enough to number 5 in the country, be able to go in and quote unquote upset that group. And hats off to them. But we made some plays in spots. We just haven't been able to put it together for 60 minutes, and that's certainly going to be the challenge as we look ahead to Lock Haven this week. We have to play a 60-minute football game, and look, it's the last one of the year. I can think of no better time than now.
And, of course, Lock Haven looking to make history on Saturday. We'll get into that when we turn the page to Lock Haven. But Armani Bailey will be the featured fighting Scot. He'll be joining us in the next window. We're live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. This is the Jake Nulph Show. We'll be back with more right after this.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome back to the Jake Nulph Show. The featured fighting Scot this week, Armani Bailey. Armani, a Woody High kid. And I want to, there's a lot to, you've really come up big with Mike Watkins' injury and Thad's injury the last couple of weeks. Obviously, Tegan Brown has really stepped up. But I sort of wanted to ask you, last year, your group was you and Thad and Mike and Nico, and basically nobody broke in. Nobody got hurt. You guys played all the snaps. You were receivers 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the entire year. You lose Nico early. Mike's been banged up as of late. Thad's been banged up. Starting to work in different you've sort of gone from just being one of the guys to the old man, the veteran leader of the group as of late. What's that been like the last couple of weeks, not having guys that you've played so many snaps with?
Really, we just been trying to step it up. Me and T knew that we was going to have to, pick it up if we wanted to win or give ourselves a shot to winning, because Thad and Mike, we didn't know if they were going to go every week or not, so we just practiced harder, tried to keep the guys motivated. We had some young guys playing, Evan Lowe, Gavin, they got in the game, so trying to keep those guys motivated because I've been doing this a little longer, give them some advice, and I think we play really well without Thad and Mike right now. And
obviously you've had some quarterback flip-flopping as well. You start with Matt. Matt gets banged up. Ike comes in. Ike maybe in terms of dealing with pressure, I thought that was Ike's best performance. I thought his decision-making under duress on Saturday was the best I've ever seen him do it.
I agree.
Now, I do want to add, this is kind of an odd situation. You guys are all similar statures. You're all elusive. But the one thing that I've noticed in particular in the last couple of weeks, that you've become an incredible blocker. You had on the 51-yarder return for Thad in the kick game. I believe you had the key block that got him to the outside. We mentioned your name in recent weeks a lot more. Downfield blocking, setting things up, run game, pass game. Do you now kind of realize, it's the big play explosiveness of the offense that Coach Nulph and I have talked ad nauseum, the lack of chunk plays, the lack of splash plays, but the last couple of weeks, run game and pass game, you guys have been starting to put some big plays out there.
I credit that to the coaches. They've been preaching physicality. So, we've been trying to work on that, and I think we've blocked really well this season. In individuals, we block all the time. So I think we've gotten really well at that.
Now, Amari, I want to ask you, because I'm always curious, when you have the group and you see the guys that are leaving, you've been around a while, graduation is on the horizon for you as well. When you had senior day, not that you needed a little extra juice, but there had to be. You guys came out firing. How good did that feel, and how much of that extra juice was it for those guys that have been through so much turbulence, whether it's a coaching change, a pandemic, you name it. Yeah. It had to feel really good to come out and play so well early for those guys.
Yeah, we had a lot of motivation going into the game because I believe it was Friday. We had a senior clip, and everybody was basically saying how fast this goes and how much they're going to miss it. So that definitely motivated me to understand I only get one shot with this, play every play like it's my last. So that's what this week really taught me with the seniors.
Now, obviously, the year has not gone the way that anybody wanted or anticipated. You've had injuries, let's be honest, from the jump. We mentioned Nico. He was going to be a big part. The defensive side of the ball probably dealt with more injuries than you did. But, Coach Nulph and I always talk about, if you want to be good, the best players have to play like the best players. Even though you've dealt with so much adversity this year, there is a football season to be played next year, and we've talked about this, and I know it's only one game at a time, but this is game one for next season. How important is it going to be to get a win here, to get into the offseason? You're coming off a win. Those 5 o'clock wake-up calls are going to be a lot easier knowing you won the last time out. How important is it going to be to come out and play well on Saturday at Lock Haven?
I think it's very important. We can start the streak now, go 1-0 right now, kind of have some momentum going into the season. And Lock Haven, they're a little better this year, so we're really going to have to focus up and lock in. But I think it'll put us in a good spot if we get a win this week, definitely.
Yeah. How important is it going to be for you in the offseason to be that guy that says, no, 2 and whatever, 3 and whatever is not going to cut it, and the hard work starts now?
Yeah, I have to do that. Coach Nulph always preaches leadership, and he says that sometimes that's what we're lacking. So me getting older now, I think it's time for me to take or step up more into a leadership role. So I think it'll help us win.
And I got news for you, pal. It doesn't slow down when you get older. It actually seems to speed up. So you take every snap that you can get, my man. Armani Bailey taking some time with us. I appreciate the time. Best of luck at Lock Haven. All right, more to come. The Jake Nulph Show. Coach will come back. We will talk about those Bald Eagles. We're at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, live, Route 99, just past the lake.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome back to the Jake Nulph Show here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery. I want a big shout out to Billy and Jen, such gracious hosts here throughout the season. And we turn the page. Final contest of the year. Lock Haven trying to do something that's not been done in 4+ decades. A winning season. And, of course, they have had a nice year. This has been a very, very strange year. There's lots of records that you would look at and say, is that right? It's been an odd year, but give them credit.
Why you play the games, Joe.
They give them credit. They won games, and you look at the East has been strange. It's been a very odd year for the East, but they've taken their 11 out there. They're an older group. They've had a lot of new faces come in for year number 2 with Coach Mulrooney, but an opportunity. And they're doing the research on them in the early going. They got a quarterback it's a grad transfer. They got one of the better running backs, maybe the best running back in the league, depending
Colliers.
Depending on your flavor.
Boy, he's a difference maker. The thing I like about him, Joe, is he reminds me of an older version and a little taller version of Brian. He's a complete back. He's good in pass protection. He can run between the tackles. He's physical, but he's got some breakaway speed now too. And that's anchored by their offensive line, who's probably the most improved group that they have. They've really done a nice job in paving the way for that run game. And then I look on the perimeter between Baker and Young. Young's a big target. He's a vertical threat, and he's physical in the blocking game. You were talking to Armani about the difference and how he's really done a great job in our receiving core in the run game. This kid, he shows up. He's physical. He likes that part of his game, and he's not afraid of contact. And
they're going to tight end. I've not seen but there's not a whole lot of 3-level tight ends that can also be an inline tight end if need be, and he's arguably the most complete tight end in terms of being a blocker and a route runner that we've seen this year.
Yeah, he's a weapon, and they flex him out. They bring him in. They wrap him around. They use him in their RPO game. He's very involved in their run game, whether it's the counter or the split zone. This is a very good group. And then you look at them on defense, Joe. The Gonzalez kid, number 54, anchors their D-line. I believe they're number 2 in the PSAC and run defense. This is a group that legitimately 2 weeks ago held Kutztown to 7 points and slowed that tremendous run game down. And they actually had an opportunity to win it. Kutztown muffed the tush push and to try to win the game inside 3 minutes. And Lockhaven had every opportunity to go down and win. They just didn't put it in the end zone. They ran a fake field goal and didn't convert on the throwback. But this is a talented group. You know, I really like the Romano kid at linebacker, number 2. He's very active. He's a grad transfer for them. He's side to side, downhill. You can tell he's their energy guy. He gets them going. Then they got 2 guys on the back end with Pollard and Henry at corner and safety that played against us last year they're all over the place. They show up on tape. You can tell this is a confident group. We're going to have to go out and play our best game at Lockhaven on Saturday.
How different are they on film from this year to last year?
Night and day.
Because they have so many new pieces.
Yeah.
How much can you really take stock from last year versus, relying on what they've done in recent weeks?
I mean, again, if you looked at from year 1 of that regime to year 2 and just the things that they've been able to do and build on in the offseason, you can tell Coach has his fingerprints all over the program. Again, and, I look at even early in the year, the Hail Mary that they beat Clarion on. This is just a group that's extremely confident. They're starting to believe in themselves. They're making plays. They're giving everybody in the East fits. This is a really good football team. And like I said, we've got to be on our details. We can't dwell on the loss against Slippery Rock. We've got to go back to work. We had a really good practice tonight despite the weather out in the rain. And we're getting ready to go. I mean, we know it's the last game of the year. All hands are on deck. They do some things too, Joe, I call them clever plays, that they flea flickers, throwbacks, like they're gonna probably empty the whole playbook on Saturday. We've really got to be prepared for anything.
Nobody wants to go into the offseason with a loss, a must-win game.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, though, that is real. It is in terms, we joke about the 5 a.m. wake-ups, but when you are coming off a win and you have your last thought is a good one and you now have carried momentum into the offseason, I don't think that we can overstate enough into the commitment to the program, the building, to go into the offseason off a win versus going into the offseason with a loss is huge.
Absolutely. And I even heard Armani talking about it with you, and you posed that question. I mean, it's extremely important, and it's important for that reason that you mentioned. But, look, it's been a long time here since we've won a football game. We got to get back to winning. And that's, this is a little bit of uncharted in, my short tenure here. And, the thing is we're scratching, we're clawing, we're doing everything that we can to get back in the win column. It's the most important game because it's the next one, and as you mentioned, it's the last one.
Yeah.
So, we've got to have a great week. We've got to be focused. We're going to get an opportunity to go on the road and leave Edinboro and close the hatches. And, I'm excited for the last opportunity. Senior week and senior day at Sox Harrison, and we talked about those 10 guys last week, but this is really their last opportunity as a Fighting Scot. We had a spirited team meeting today. I liked our energy. We know exactly what we've got to do. We've just got to go out and execute.
And I will say this, and this is not being I've been around this a while. The vibe is not of doom and gloom.
No.
I mean, there is energy. I'm not certain that if you just randomly showed up at practice and somebody said, guess the record, I don't think that would be the number that you would come up with. I mean, you guys have done a nice job, and that's why if you can have that win and roll that into the offseason, because as we alluded to, a lot of guys are back. In terms of the statistical leaders, those guys are all on the way back.
And that's the thing where you look at it, and that's a credit to the players and the coaches and everybody in the program, support staff, et cetera, is, again, we have the ability to hit reset, and we got to go and go to work, and it's the next opportunity. That's the thing where I look back at what Joe Walton, my head coach in college, always used to talk about is as you're writing the book of the 2023 season, every week is a new chapter in that book, and every team provides a new opportunity and a new challenge. And we've got this 11th chapter of the 2023 season, we've got to write the book. We got to get this thing back on track, and we got to get a win.
I mentioned Armani. I thought, in terms of middle pressures and I thought that was the best I've seen him handle pressure.
Yeah.
Now, how different was that with the playbook? There was a lot of different looks versus, is he just really now starting to figure that out? And how important is it going to be to carry that not only into, this Saturday, but that quarterback room in general, it's going to be a competition again. It's going to be really hard to tell Isaac when you look at how well he's played in spots.
Yeah.
That's reason for excitement. Competition makes
agree.
everybody better.
Well, that's the thing where I think Isaac's done a really good job the last couple of weeks is just playing quarterback, Joe, right? Like, again, if it's too high and the coverage dictates that Armani gets the ball, he's getting Armani the ball. If it's one high and the coverage dictates that Dad gets the ball, whatever it may be, Mike, Hop, Teagan, etc., right? Like, those are the things where Isaac's growing. It's good to see that in year 3 is, sometimes he would, we're going to lock on here. Well, no. Coverage always dictates where the ball goes, and I thought he did a really good job Saturday in deciding whether it was slippery rock too high or
And he was decisive. The ball came out in a hurry.
Exactly, and then that's playing quarterback, and he's done a great job, and, we're going to need him to have another big day on Saturday.
Now, obviously, I'm going to, 2 reasons you win, 2 reasons you lose. You talked about that run defense. Brian Trouble got dinged up, came in the second half. Jerry played really well. Keon got some run as well. Obviously, running the football is something that you want to do, but against this Lock Haven
They're
front,
stout, man.
I mean, how important is it going to be to establish the run early?
Again, the biggest thing is, and I challenge these guys, and look, we've got to win the game in the trenches, and whether it's the O-line or the D-line. So our ability to stop the run and our ability to run the ball, stay on schedule, and, you can talk to Armani and all these guys. When I say run the football, there's a lot of ways that we can do that, whether it's perimeter plays, RPOs, between the tackles, on the edge, quarterback, etc.
Ike, who's become Tim Tebow all of a sudden.
Right, but that's the thing where that's part of him playing quarterback is there's certain reads, and if he makes the right read, he's going to get us into the right play.
Is that just his comfort level?
Yeah, I think the more that we do it and the more that he practices it, and that's the thing with Isaac is he's a pretty decent athlete. He doesn't get enough credit because he wants to throw the ball downfield. That's Isaac's game. But ultimately, if the defense doesn't let you do that and he's got to run the ball, he's done it. To me, that's a huge growth from last year where he was just trying to force everything downfield. Look, take what the defense gives you. If we got to run for 12, then let's run for 12. And just keep the sticks moving. And that's where the offensive line has gotten much better in that situation. The run game, you had mentioned Brian got dinged up. Keon had a couple nice runs. Jerry really had a great second half. It was good to see Jerry Dinkins get rolling there. And, everything in offense, it's not unlike defense. You've got to do your job, And we need to build on that this week against Lock Haven up front because they're not going to let us run the football, and then they're going to try to impose their will, get 22 in that ground game going, which is going to free up Young and their plethora of receivers in their play-action max pro game. So we've got to be on our details. And then the other thing is we've got to get back to being positive in the turnovers and the takeaways. If you look at the last couple of weeks, we've been negative, and that's where if we can give our offense, and we talk about this all the time in team meetings, we want to be +1, +2, +3. If we have that many more extra possessions in a football game, I like our chances of scoring, especially the way our offense has gotten into rhythm here the last couple of weeks. So those are the two tail of the tapes. It's going to be up front in the trenches in the takeaway battle.
All right, the Jake Nulph Show here live from Charlie's Pub and Eatery. Certainly want to thank Bill and Jen one last time. Gracious host Craig Butler, who's been with us each and every week. Coach,
Craig brought his kids out today,
did.
which you love to see that.
Obviously, the guys willing to come, and I think that it's fun to have a candid conversation each and every week, Coach, and I certainly appreciate that time. And again, thanks to everybody that's watched, and we will have some sporadic shows to kind of keep you up to date moving forward as to how the feel of the program, and hopefully we can get a big win at Lock Haven and get into the off season with a bunch of momentum behind us.
Absolutely, and again, I appreciate everybody all year. Thank you so much for coming out, and go Burrow.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown.
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.